Elder Moon Baby, the Dreamcatcher. Through the fog and further beyond, the Eldertubby Council heard its cry. It was a different cry, one not heard of for centuries. It was a whisper at first, but soon it waxed and waned with siren allure, guiding the council through the maze of mist to a new forest clearing. Could it be? The long-lost twin? There it was. A luminescent hum breaking over the trees, casting a cold light across the midnight sky. Brighter it grew as its hands spilled over with collected dreams and nightmares. Still more hands reached in towards its belly, fingers gripping tight. It began to pull, wider and wider, until its body gave way to reveal a vast opening, infinitely dark and impossibly deep. The melancholic cry then morphed into an inviting harmony as it perched steady, stomach wide, beckoning entry into the forbidden void.
Time for Teletubbies. Do you enter?
The eclipse of the elder babies. The forest was quiet, the sky cloudless and vastly deep, the spectacle above. This was anything but scheduled programming. It was a lost episode, forbidden footage, unscripted, redacted. The Elder Sun Baby and Elder Moon Baby were crossing paths in an unprecedented cosmic eclipse. The twins illuminated their halos with a faint, rhythmic blinking. Then brighter, with increasingly intense bloom, they raised their heads up high and opened their mouths, letting loose a haunting wail accompanied by rolling tears. Soon, galaxies far off began to twinkle in synchrony as distant alien elder children joined their desperate call. The earth was trembling, and the skies were blindingly bright, a signal that could be seen from across the universe. It was a cry for help that could be quelled by only one. Do not fret, children. Everything will be okay. Mother will be here soon. Holy shit! Time for Teletubbies is right. It appears that the Eldertubbies lore doesn't stop where the show does. Jar Arts, the author of Teletubbies, expanded upon this world with his own additions. His first edition, the mirror image of the Sun Baby, the Moon Baby. Oh, he can have a friend! The unexpected crossing of paths of which seems to have stirred the entire galaxy, which may reveal the deeper lore behind the Eldertubbies. But first, real quick, if you haven't watched my first video on the Eldertubbies, you should definitely go do that because you're probably really fucking confused already. If you're not gonna do that because you suck, here's a rundown. Timestamp here for those who already saw it. Eldertubbies is a nightmarish and eldritch version of the children's TV series Teletubbies. This unsettling adaptation delves into the mysterious and bizarre aspects of the original show, raising questions about the nature of the Teletubbies world, and other surreal elements of the show. Notably, the art explores the strange nature of the Tubbies themselves, symbolism of Nunu, the living vacuum, as a metaphor for insatiable consumption, and the nature of Sun Baby, a colossal creature that, from the perspective of someone on Earth, just looks like the sun with the face of a baby. Got it? Good. There's no possible way you could be confused by something that simple. Now that we've got that out of the way, anyone else wonder what's up with the giant Astro Baby collision? Or is it just me? Evidently, the Sun and Moon Baby had never come together before. When they finally met, they output some sort of signal into the universe. Responding to the Sky Baby signal, galaxies began to react as if they were receiving this message. Looks like the key to solving the Fermi paradox was just Teletubbies this whole time. Why does anybody even try? The text also alludes to alien elder children, and a mother figure. I believe that these paragraphs are huge major hints in the story of this world. The mother being, whatever it may be, gave birth to the Astro Babies and Eldertubbies out of some giant sky pussy or something, and then left them across the universe. However, what other Eldertubbies exist out there? What the signal means, or what the mother figure did this for is still a mystery. Oh boy, I sure hope that there's more entries that elaborate on exactly what the fuck questions that I made up. Eldertubby Zoo, the pioneer. Rooted fingers braced deep into the soft, alien terrain. The alien Eldertubby was one of many pioneers, sowed by Mother across seed planets scattered throughout space and time. The Eldertubby subtly shifted its tunnel of antennae to amplify the faint, few signals which made it through the foreign planet's thick atmosphere. Meanwhile, alien tubby nymphs gathered patiently below as rainbow waveform hues buzzed from the Elder's glowing belly. Finally, the static began to clear. The family tuned into scheduled programming as the misty morning was greeted by a familiar melody, the anthem of the universe. Time for Teletubbies. Eldertubby the stone sword gatekeeper. Time was lost to the Tarnished Four as they navigated through a labyrinth maze of blades. It was a cemetery of weapons from fallen warriors of the land, amassed by the Gatekeeper of these parts. Despite the high caliber of gear that adorned the terrain, the four dared not touch and risk disrupting their careful order. Finally, in the foggy distance, they spotted a lumbering mass. Its silhouette revealed innumerable hands pulling swords from the ground, only to shuffle them back with meticulous organization. The Tarnished Four approached the being with caution, but realized they could not break its fixation to the task. Only when they unsheathed their armaments did its attention peak. The Gatekeeper stretched upright and turned to glare with piercing, beaded eyes. Outer limbs reached towards catalogued blades with blind familiarity and gripped tight, yet more hands beckoned a welcome toward the fog gate embedded in its belly, taunting the Tarnished Four to try and enter. The four braced themselves for the strong foe ahead, as an eerie melody and chant pierced the night.
Time for Teletubbies.
Eldertubby Snoo, the Placekeeper. Lines of fiber pulsated with information as signals from across the world transmitted into the Elder's system. The world gathered at its feet and stared up at the canvas displayed on its belly. It was a masterful collaboration effort from an unpredictable hive mind, each pixel placed in perfect chaos over the course of 4 days. It was beautiful. It was art. It was coming to an end. The Elder's body began to sparkle as pixels began floating off into the sky. The community watched with melancholy as their masterpiece inexorably faded into white. The Elder stared down with benevolent eyes, which conveyed one last message of hope to all. This will always be our place. Well, that's a lot to unpack. Initially, I believed the alien Eldertubbies to be some sort of deep space equivalent to the Earth ones. But there's 4 Earth Eldertubbies and 3 aliens, so that doesn't really add up. It appears that Tubby Zoo was taking care of a group of what were called Tubby nymphs, providing them content to watch from his belly screen. The content may be coming from the very same signal that the Elder Babies were broadcasting. Nymphs, in nature, are usually a life cycle phase before adults and creatures that go through metamorphosis. So the content emanating from Tubby Zoo is likely nurturing these creatures to mature, likely into Eldertubbies themselves. It is at this point that I want to bring up a theory that my viewers angrily and repeatedly expressed in the comments of the last video. The Eldertubbies are perhaps intended to be the Teletubbies as they aged. The Teletubbies were babies of some sort of eldritch species, and this is just what happened to them and the world as they grew up. In this world, the Teletubbies as we know them from the actual television series are actually Tubby nymphs. We're seeing them in the future, when fully grown to their unknowable, otherworldly potential. The entire world is the same, it just got older. It's possible that 4 of these Tubby nymphs became the quote-unquote Tarnished Four that fought to get into the stomach of Eldertubby It may be that if not exposed to the holy Tubby signal, they could be developmentally stunted, resulting in a Tubby with evil intentions, or some shit. Eldertubby is likely the protector of whatever signal that Zoo is broadcasting. A tummy portal that could transport whoever crosses through to the source of the signal, potentially a gateway to the mother being. The Tarnished Four likely want to stamp out this signal. Finally, Eldertubby Snoo, the Placekeeper. I believe that Snoo is the central terminal for the Tubby signal, whatever it may be, displaying it in grand fashion for all the Tubby nymphs to see. This planet would be like a mass nursery for the Tubbies, allowing the species to grow and prosper untarnished. He was called the Placekeeper because he kept this grand signal alive in his holy spot. Until he didn't, because it died by turning into sparkles, like if Tom Holland's Spider-Man died during Pride Month. Without the display of the Tubby signal, more nymphs may be in danger of becoming tarnished. But that was about to change. The perpetual cries of the Eldertubbies echoed through the vast empty space. Their cacophony turned into a sharp melody, and then became imperceptibly shrill until it was audible to the mortal ears. Instead, the cry of the eclipse was heard deep in the souls of all things living, sending the world into an era of existential dread. The unending colic could only be quelled by the arrival of Mother, prophesied to take away all pain. However, her promised advent went unanswered for what felt like millennia. Life went from daily anticipation, met with disappointment, to desperate clinging onto a rumor of relief, to despondent whispers of legend nearly long forgotten, until she arrived when the dread of the world was at its zenith. The visual feat was incredible. The heavens were illuminated by the ever-brilliant birth of stars, while simultaneously being swallowed by the inescapable gravity of voidal spheres, emerging from infinite fingertips of palms poised in prayer. An ornate crest of galaxies and ancient symbols danced delicately about the edge of her event horizon, orbiting a pitch-black void at its center. Her scale was beyond gargantuan, beyond cosmic, beyond words and time. It was her, in full, unending glory. Mother Void, the Maker. Beneath her crown and within the void peered outward the eyes of Mother down at her children below. The elder babies gazed upwards at the spectacle of their maker, pained faces yearning for respite. Fret not, children. Mother is here now, and all will be okay. In an instant, Mother pierced open the aura of her void, unleashing a vacuum that silenced the weeping children, absorbing not only light and sound, but also negativity, despair, doubt, anxiety, fear, loneliness, anger, sadness, all absorbed by Mother. Tears of burden rolled down her cheeks. All that remained was an intense quiet across the stars, and every living being stared up at the skies in anticipation. A melodious hum swelled into existence. It was a million angelic tones of lullaby, previously hindered by distance and muffled through static, but no longer. The song's source now stood before them all, and she began her tune with an unbelievable symphony. The elder baby's cry was quelled, liberating the world. The melody rang resonant in the core of every being, persisting for millennia beyond, and bringing about an epoch of peace across the lands. It was the birth of a golden era. It was the age of tranquility. It was time for Teletubbies.
Well, that really ties a bow on all of it nicely. Let's break down that final piece of lore, shall we? No? Fuck you, you sarcastic piece of shit.
Mother Void birthed these creatures and placed them all around the galaxy to broadcast her glorious holy signal through their torso screens, using their bodies as a vessel.
God, what I wouldn't do for a Mother Void to use my body as her vessel, if you know what I mean. 'Cause I don't.
She left her children, and they became forlorn without her.
Weird, that's usually the dad's job.
Even her holy signal was not enough to keep them pure in her absence. They grew larger, fearful-looking, and lonelier, surrounding her ever-fading signal like moths to a flame, dreading the day that it would one day be gone, until she returned and ushered in a final age of peace between her subjects. No more tarnished ones, no more loneliness, no more horniness, no more hunger. All beings unified under the Mother Void's signal.
At the end of the day, it really is true what they say. It's time for Teletubbies. Whatever the fuck that means. Well, that's it.
Except for one pattern that I noticed that I didn't quite know what to make of. The repeated suggestion of crawling inside another creature's stomach, like the Elder Moon Baby's gut, or the Eldertubby Erd's doorway tummy.
Well, are you getting in the giant magical sky baby's horrifically stretched out belly button or not?
I don't know what to make of it. I just had it in my notes, and I'm putting in because I thought it was notable. Alright, my brain is numb from intensely researching and talking about Elder and Teletubbies all goddamn day, so I'm done talking about this. If you want me to come back and check out some more spooky shit, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe with all notifications enabled, or I'll sew a TV into your bowels. Shout out the inner circle. Love y'all.
Okay, bye.